Righty-ho, listenerinos. This is the one true on the gamer Boss Bronze.
This is True Backlash. And Blue.
Talking about the Wolverine! The Wolverine! And if you got my Red Dawn reference, well done. If not, look it up. And we're talking about the Wolverine, the latest Marvel takedown of all movie and cinema everywhere with their movies, man. I'm telling you, what is this, like the 4th or 5th Marvel movie this year? I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating.
Oh, yeah, this is probably only the second.
Only the second. Well,
there was a Disney movie in The Lone Ranger, but that doesn't count.
I should count it because they're all one big happy Mickey family, aren't they?
Yep.
Oh, man, but another late showing, people, so we're a little tired. Want to go home, rest in our beds, in my case, try to play a little video game in action before I go to bed. But we're getting off track. Let's talk about the Wolverine. Now, if you all recall the Wolverine Origins, right? That's what the first movie was called in the series?
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Thank you, Connie. It stars a not-so-happy-go-lucky character named Logan, who unfortunately has been followed by strife and misery all his long-living life because, well, he's practically immortal. He's got a nice healing factor that allows him to keep from aging to a point, recover from near-deadly injuries, and, of course, have bone claws that slice people in two. And in the last movie, those bones claws got upgraded to steel, or rather, adamantium claws, which are now totally unbreakable and give him a nice adamantium skeleton to boot, which makes him nigh indestructible. He doesn't live very well. He outlives all his friends, his loved ones, future wives, that sort of thing. Plus, bad stuff keeps following him, and he's got to keep fighting it. And you know what? He's just got sick and tired of it. So, in this movie, I'll let Backlash take it because it's his thing.
Well, there's a Last Stand spoiler, can I say?
What?
There's an X-Men The Last Stand spoiler that goes with it, can I say, or do I have to be creative?
Why do you have to say? Why?
Okay, well, I guess I won't say then. But, okay.
Where?
Well, it's a big part of the chunk of the movie, but anyway.
It's not that big of a part. Are you talking about the dream sequences?
Yes.
Well, you don't need to mention that part.
Okay. Alright, I won't mention what was in the dream sequences. But anyway, this movie takes place a little bit after X-Men The Last Stand. Basically, something in that movie, which is so spoilerific, I can't say, forces him to re-examine his life. And he's having a lot of nightmares because of it. He's become a disheveled mess living in the backwoods of somewhere, probably Canada, probably Alaska or the United States, who knows. Until this one red-haired bodyguard, as she likes to put herself, comes to talk to the Logan, Yukio. She said a guy that he saved in World War II, an Asian man, they saved in World War II, I remember, wants to thank him before he died. So Wolverine heads with Yukio off to Japan, where he's embroiled into this very, very complicated case of mobsters trying to kill the guy who wants to thank Wolverine's granddaughter, and power structure and arranged marriages. And Wolverine doesn't want to really be a part of it until it gets real personal. And Mariko Yoshida, the granddaughter, her life gets put in danger. So despite trying to put all this crap behind him, Wolverine starts in action once again.
And it wouldn't be Wolverine if he didn't slice people up, bub. Let me tell you. But yeah. That's the story in a nutshell. Now, let's talk about the characters. Did we get enough characters just having just one X-Men in this? Wolverine tends to steal the show, but was the characters enough to make this a complete film? A lot of people whined about the Origins movie, saying how the characters were good, but they weren't great. And, some of them just didn't have a point or purpose and the like. But this time around, I think the characters were pretty good. I mean, you're steeped in Japanese culture, more or less, in this movie as we go to the land of the rising sun to see how they deal with things, problems, and family or against crime or something like that. And it's very interesting to see it. Not that it's like some sort of biography. No. Unless they have like crazy gang wars at funerals all the time. I don't think this is true to life, but it's enough to see have it from your standard shootouts to something uniquely interesting. The family in which Wolverine's great grandfather or grandfather was saved is all like the highest tiers of that society and culture, and they have their own little inner family drama. But I don't want to say too much, otherwise I ruin it. Blue, what do you think about it? Since you're vastly interested and knowledgeable of the characters through means I cannot mention.
Well, actually, I character-wise did not get enough character. I gotta tell you, I really feel that, yes, I did think that Wolverine pulled it off pretty good, and he carried the story. There were some interesting characters in the story, but I still felt there was like something missing. I thought there was some great action sequences, but overall, I think with the characters, I don't think they hung around long enough. There were the couple that didn't impress me all that much, and the ones that had the greatest potential to be incredible only had some short sequences. So no, for me personally, I thought we could use a little bit more in the character base, and I thought even through the Wolverine character, I think he did a great job, but I could have used a little bit more of the traditional Wolverine.
What do you mean? What do you mean traditional Wolverine?
Well, again, not to be too much of a spoiler here, but I found that I'm all for him being like a troubled soul and all of that, but I really like to see Wolverine at his best as often as possible. And it seemed like there was an awful lot of this time in this movie he was on the mend. And for me, for my flavor, I like to go and see him non-stop Wolverine from beginning to the end, and sometimes that's just not possible to have a good storyline. And I'm willing to have that because you got to have sometimes a little down in order to have a great pick up. But I thought the movie kind of over-dramatized the part where Wolverine was not as Wolverine-y as he usually is.
Well, you did see the trailer. I mean, you brought it up enough times, is that in the movie, Wolverine will become a mortal man. And I don't begrudge him that choice, because let's face it, how many times do we have to see Wolverine be Wolverine before it becomes a little boring?
Well, as much as Wolverine can be with still having adamantium claws and centuries of military and martial arts training,
Well, true, he does still have all those things, but he how can I put this? There is not much of a risk if we know that Wolverine can't be killed and harmed, so, again, what's the point? I mean, I'll give Blue credit on this one. When it comes to characters, I mean, for me, I like the characters, mostly. But they didn't have a definitive rival for Wolverine. No one that he could truly test himself.
That's where I was going with that.
That's why they had to introduce the nerfing of Wolverine. Otherwise, he would just mop through the scenario far too quickly.
Yeah, but I think they could have did that just a little better if they would have expanded the role of some of those opportunities. Like, I'm not going to mention names because I want to give people an opportunity to see and judge for themselves. But there were some centrally oriented characters that kind of came across kind of villainous and kind of very, at the beginning of the movie, like they had some stamina behind, their ability to have technique in terms of martial arts, and then that just didn't surface again until it was almost done. I'm like, this guy could have been like a real monster raging throughout the movie, interwoven with the plot. Then I think that even with this other character who came across as very much a threat in her way. You know, she was okay. You know, really. But she didn't come across as being a serious boss like I thought she could have been. I mean, I thought she could have been. She could have had some more pipes to her.
I think she was morally a mini boss tops. I'll be honest.
Let's put it this way.
If that, really.
The movie gets complicated because there's five people that either oppose Wolverine or trying to hurt Mariko in some way. 5. And people complain about Spider-Man. That kind of got convoluted. Because of these 5 people, there's two plots to the movie. That's part of it what made it complicated. The characters are fine in my opinion, and they even have a fake out. There is one villain where people played X-Men Children of the Atom or Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
You could say it because it's it's on the posters.
The Silver Samurai, yeah, there we go. The Silver Samurai, they actually have a fake out with him on how he's portrayed, but this is nothing new. They did this in Iron Man 3, this kind of fake out. But for a change, it actually works for the better. Once they say, someone says, "I am the Mandarin." I mean, it worked okay there, but come on, no one really bought it. You know, when this guy says, "I am the Silver Samurai," you bought it, you know, but still, that fake out was kind of cool, but it took away from the focus. I see what they were doing because they wanted Mariko and Wolverine to bond. I got that. They wanted to show action scenes with him and Yukio. I got that. But you don't know who your central villain is until the last 15 minutes of the movie.
And even with Yukio, or sorry.
Almost.
Yukio.
What he said.
Yukio's the redhead chick, by the way.
I know who she was, but I'm just saying, these names escape me, so I'll just throw my best effort out there. That girl, you know, when I'm looking at that girl, I'm seeing the sidekick in the animated Star Wars animated. Remember that chick that played the Jedi?
Ahsoka?
Yeah, I'm expecting that kind of thing. Okay, and she was kind of okay. She had a little chops about her here and there, but overall, I was
The thing about Wolverine is he has a thing about women. If it's not one of his many lovers that could rival James Bond, it's a female sidekick. Shadowcat, a mutant who could phase through stuff. X-23, his clone, and Jubilee are just 3 of them.
Right.
It's just another one.
And you know what? That's cool. I mean, I'm not faulting her or giving her anything less than, you know, she was. I had a little greater expectation when I saw her on the poster, not knowing who she was and what she was capable of.
Yeah.
My imagination went kind of wild there, and then I just didn't get what I thought I would get from it. So character-wise, I thought there could have been some more beefed up people and for longer periods of time.
I gotta admit, the surprise spoiler character, 5006, the aka one of the villains, and the Silver Samurai, they were cool. They were kind of cool. You know, so I kind of like that. In fact, I might as well go and say, for as convoluted as that was, some of these villains are better than some of the villains in the mainstream X-Men movies, like Colonel Stryker. I can buy humans being villains for the X-Men, but he was just some doughboy who had forceful control over mutants. Please. And then let me see. Sabretooth was alright, but
I like Sabretooth.
I mean,
I really did.
The wrestler Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth in the X-Men movie, was a little kind of lame, you know. But then Lee Shriver took over. He was better, but I think some of the villains here were better. Not all of them, but you know.
And I did like the Archer, but again, even with him, I could have saw him having a very amazing role.
Yeah.
But I think that was just, you know, just another part of the character base that didn't get enough time. And I don't know whether it was because there were so many good opportunities. They figured, well, we'll give you a little this, little this, little this.
I just think they wanted to throw him in part to reference the Avengers. Like, we could do Archers too. But that did come back. That did come back later in the movie. And that's Snowy Town.
Snowy Town? Not Snowy Town, USA, but Snowy Town, Japan.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was.
Oh,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, after you.
Well, I mean, are we talking about action scenes next?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I gotta say, the action was very good in here. Martial arts were pretty on par for an action movie and superhero movie. The one thing that really took my breath away was there was this one scene. You've seen car chases? This is like a car chase. It's like crazy. The stuff they pulled off, it wasn't long, but it was clever. And they had to think on their feet, Wolverine and the bad guys, to make it work, and it worked. I loved it.
I loved it too. I thought that was great. That piece. There were real good snippets of action in the movie that were worthwhile and different. You know, I always like to look for something I haven't seen done before, and I thought that was done very, very well. Pretty neat, actually.
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to action side, it was a little slow for me.
It was.
It was
really
most.
was.
They were like the Lone Ranger and Iron Man 3. They were trying to tell a story.
No,
And I
no.
get
This
that.
story,
Now, Iron Man 3, I can forgive because this is the third one. They had to mix it up a bit, you know. They were trying something new. And the Lone Ranger, again, you know, people don't know the Lone Ranger from Job. So they had to tell that story because, well, you got to get caught up with the continuity or whatever.
I believe
for-
that too.
For this one, you know, like Blue said, this is Wolverine. We want to get some, like, action like now, get something messed up. He's like Mr. Mopey Pants for the beginning, and then he gets to Japan and he's still kind of forlorn. And then, you know, he had this one scene where it involved getting a bath. Wow, goodness grief. I didn't see that one
That
coming.
was funny. That was funny.
It was lame and stuff. Wolverine does not get scrubbed down by two old biddies. He knows how to take a shower. Good grief. But, you know, once it gets to, I'd say about the midway point with this, spoiler, this train fight, and I won't say anything other than that, then it will start to ramp up at the tail end. It finally got the fights going at a very acceptable level, and I'm happy about that. Because I didn't want this to be slow or boring.
For the whole thing.
So, yeah, the action's slow to start, but it finally picked up, and I'm happy about that. All right, before we move on to our final rundowns here, people, have anything to add?
Let's see. Well, let's just say this felt more like an X-Men movie than Wolverine did. Wolverine felt like a Weapon X movie, Wolverine Origins. Like, meaning where they showed him getting the adamantium feed and he was working with this mercenary group. And yeah, they put the Blob and Bolt from the New Warriors and Gambit in the movie. I get that. They spiced it up a bit, but it's still like it was first a Weapon X movie, then it was a Wolverine movie. This actually felt like an X-Men movie, and I appreciated that.
Really? I thought this was sort of like the second chapter of Wolverine Origins, to be honest with you. Not that that's a bad thing, but I didn't feel like this was like an X-Men movie because it didn't have but one X-Man in it.
Right.
I mean, you know, for an X-Men movie, the one of the cool things about the X-Men, and they get a lot of flack and grief lately because of how things are turning up in the comic book, but X-Men will still be one of my favorite groups because they are indeed more than the sum of their parts. But you need those parts to actually be a team.
Well, I think it helped that the Silver Samurai was in the movie, and he was in a couple of the Capcom-based Marvel video games and the 90s X-Men show.
But I wanted to know the original Silver Samurai. I don't know him much, but I know what we saw on the screen was not the original Silver Samurai.
Right.
And I wanted to know more about his backstory, why he does as he does.
That's piece that I felt that was lacking,
And I'll,
you know, not to even have that as a spoiler, but that's why I didn't elaborate, because I felt that there wasn't enough content there. It just wasn't.
And I'll be honest with you, I thought the Silver Samurai was going to be the other guy, not the guy who was revealed.
Exactly,
but
that's the swerve.
But I'll just call him Mutant Hater. And I thought the Mutant Hater was going to be the Silver Samurai.
You know, it's like it's like, in a way, Iron Man 3 was like with the Mandarin, but it's slight spoiler. It seemed like the Mandarin wasn't just one guy. The Silver Samurai wasn't just one guy.
Yeah,
And they tried to make an effort to show that.
but in the Mandarin swerve worked better because they knew what they were doing with the character. I wasn't quite convinced they knew how to make Silver Samurai. Is it going to be this guy or that guy? Or are we going to have him this or this? Is he going to be just like this giant whatchamacallit, or he's going to be mystic, or he's going to be mutant himself?
And then they both seemed to feel in both of those movies that there was this big need for the audience to see these characters who we've all come to know as them in that superhero capacity as human and fallible. And
That's been going on
we
lately.
don't need that.
I don't
We have
care
enough
about that.
fallibility out here in the world. We want to see them in their super capacity. That's why we like them, because they're super, or they're mutant or special in that way.
I think that's why the Man of Steel was such an antithesis. You got this guy who's obviously not normal. He'll never be normal unless there's red sun or red kryptonite.
Or kryptonite, regular kryptonite.
Well, regular kryptonite. You know?
And with him, see, I really dug that, though, because we got a chance to see backstory there. And we got a chance to see father in action doing father thing. And mother in action and home planet and everything was really cool. It kind of laid the foundation. We saw two strong fathers for
right.
That.
It was.
We saw some reason why Superman decides he wants to really protect Earth. I mean, there was reasons for things, and it made sense. Whereas kind of like, okay, everybody's waking up and they're grumpy and they got long hair and they don't wash and, you know, we'll take a plane all because somebody said so, and they get there and the dude's like dies in a day, and oh, come on.
Look, I still believe that having Wolverine lose his powers in this movie definitely changes the things up a bit. It's just that it just needed more action, and it needed more, let's just say, rivals to give Wolverine something to actually work towards, other than the fact that he lost his powers.
Yeah, because I have no problem with that.
And I'll be honest with you, instead of like him being like stiffer and hurting a little more, it's not like him getting shot phased him that much without his powers.
No, it didn't.
So, you know, he had to get the bullets out, but hey, I mean, big deal.
I'm just glad he found out what was really going on with him, because that could have really been ugly.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's wrap this up, people, because I think we're about that end here, and I have to give it a pass. I enjoyed the movie. I liked the characters. Could use a bit more, you know, villains for Wolverine to fight, so a giant to slay. The characters were great again, but I enjoyed, you know, the interpersonal drama. The action was slow, but it picked up at the end, barely, but still enough to make it interesting. And, you know, still worth the regular showing, but not 3D showing. We didn't watch it 3D. Who's next?
Well, I gotta say, another obligatory summer superhero blockbuster extravaganza, Chia Pet superhero law. Woo! And, you know, and once again, with those kind of movies, with big, long, fakey definition I gave it, I was entertained. It wasn't perfect, but like I said, and I'll just say it point blank, Silver Samurai was a better villain than Stryker. Silver Samurai was a better villain than the villain of The Last Stand. I'm saying it right now, so...
Which was what? The Phoenix?
Yeah. I mean, the Phoenix is more powerful, but... Oh, quit it.
But don't go to the movie thinking you're going to see some really awesome villain.
The fight scene was good, but the villain himself was just, you know, showed up.
Well, okay. Anyway, I give it a pass. You know, if there's a movie that doesn't bore me at all, it has to get a pass. What can I tell you?
I kind of feel that way. I give it a pass as well. I was entertained. I didn't really want to wait another day to see the movie. It came out today. I wanted to see it today. And I wasn't disappointed in the fact that I got a chance to go. I enjoy Wolverine doing his Wolverine thing. was nothing like seeing him rejuvenate and come back with full ferocity when the scenes that he did that was amazing. I loved it. And then, after that, it was kind of like, back to this. Now this. So overall, I thought it was good. Don't do like so many people do and get up and walk out of the theater when you think the credits are rolling.
Mm-hmm.
You will regret it. So
Mhm.
Not that we have to tell you, but some people actually left the movie thinking that the credits were the end. Goodness, people, what is this? 2013? You really should know better, especially from Marvel.
Especially. And it's times like these where, it gives you that neat little hint of what's to come. And sometimes it makes a little bit more sense about what you just seen in this existing movie. You kind of feel like, okay. So that piece was pretty cool. So I give it a pass. Again, another good movie to take the kids to. I think
good, but not great.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where if they're too young, I think they might be a little bored. Really, if they're a little older, I think they'll get a lot from it. So it was good.
All right, with that, Wolverine barely makes it to the skin of his claws, and for now, this is the one true honor gamer Boss Bronze.
This is True Backlash.
And Blue.
And for goodness sake, Blue. Would you please don't start from the beginning. Start in the middle. Everyone watches the beginning of these trailers. Come on, the middle. We're almost done. You should have it at the end, so it has the most exciting part at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that from now on.
Yay, thank you. Compromise.
I like compromise.
We found a friend for you to play with.